Hi guys, it's Christine. Welcome back to the channel. This week I want to talk about Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I'm going to talk about the book, then I'm going to talk about the movie. I am jumping line with a couple of reviews that I've done here because the Oscars are coming, Hamnet's nominated, so I figured I might as well get on board with getting this review out a little quicker than normal. Hamnet is a historical fiction story, a little bit speculative fiction as well, because we know certain things about Shakespeare's life, but we don't know the details. We know that he was married to Anne Hathaway, that they had 3 children, and that his son Hamnet died at around the age 10 or 11, I can't remember. We know that the plague was in Stratford at the time. So the book is assuming that Hamnet died of the plague. We're told at the beginning of the book and of the movie that the names Hamnet and Hamlet were sort of interchangeable at that time in England. Shakespeare was married to Anne Hathaway, who was referred to as Agnes in her father's will. So in the book, that is the name that she goes by. I think it's also for a little bit of clarity, not just because of the actress Anne Hathaway, but because Shakespeare had a sister who was also named Anne who died. So I think for a little bit of clarity, they go by the name Agnes. And what I love about the story is that she is front and center of this novel. The book never refers to Shakespeare by name. He's only ever Agnes's husband, the father, the Latin tutor. He's never referred to by name at any point. And I think what's really important about that is that it puts Agnes at the center. It gives her an agency which history has kind of erased entirely. We don't know really anything about her, and this is kind of giving her some agency over her own story. She is front and center because it is true that while they were married, that Shakespeare was off in London doing his plays a lot of the time, but we also know he came back to Stratford when he retired. So were they happy? Were they not? Who can say? I think another brilliant thing that is accomplished by never naming Shakespeare by name is that it makes us as an audience relate to him as a person and not as this legendary figure that he is. So everybody knows Shakespeare as, the greatest writer of our time, but because he's never mentioned by name, we're relating to him as a father who has lost his son. It's not a spoiler to say that that's what happened. That is what the story is entirely about. And it's, I don't want to say it's common knowledge. I don't think a lot of people really know much about Shakespeare as a person, but it is known that he had 3 kids and that his son died. So, and that becomes his basis for writing the play Hamlet. The writing in the book is really beautiful, and it's very measured, and it's not very showy, but it also doesn't look away from the most painful parts of the story. It is a study in grief and like how 2 people can handle their grief so incredibly differently. So Agnes she feels everything, and that's very much on purpose. Like, she was there when Hamnet dies. She is sort of the village healer, and so the fact that she couldn't save her son and she tries desperately to do so, but it's the plague. I mean, it's incurable. There's nothing she can do. A passage from the novel that I absolutely love is told from the perspective of Eliza, who is Shakespeare's sister. She doesn't have hardly anything to do in the movie, but in the book she is a bit more of a main character. She's there during the death of Hamnet, and she says, "Anyone Eliza is thinking who describes dying as slipping away or peaceful has never witnessed it happen. Death is violent, death is a struggle. The body clings to life as ivy to a wall and will not easily let go, will not surrender its grip without a fight." I love that description because it's such a painful thing to read. I have said this before, there's not very many books that can make me cry, but Hamnet did during the death scene. It was It was so heartbreaking watching this happen. And Shakespeare's not there because, of course, they send word to him and tell him to come back, because initially it's the twin sister Judith who is sick, but Hamnet is the one who ends up dying. In the book, Shakespeare describes Agnes's grief as like an anchor that's going to pull him down with it, and he's not able to bear that weight. So what he does is he uses his art and his writing to express all of the grief that he cannot express to Agnes. So he goes off to London and ends up writing the play Hamlet. I think the ending of this book, it's not really a book or movie that you can really spoil, because you know going in that Hamnet is going to die. That's kind of a given. The book is structured in a way where you've got Hamnet trying to find help for his sister Judith, who is sick, interspersed and cutting back and forth in time with the start of William and Agnes's relationship. So the chapters alternate and eventually the timelines meet up, and then you've got the ending of the book, which is so beautifully written. I think the last 4 or 5 pages of this book are some of the best writing I've ever read. Reading this book feels like praying that the ending's going to be different. And it can't be, and we know that. And it's heartbreaking, but it's so good. It's so honest about grief and death and the way people process something so horrible happening, like a child dying. It's beautifully written. I cannot say enough good things about it. It's easily a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I want to also mention how much I love the cover, because, you know, like I said, she's got real witchy vibes, like Forest Witch kind of thing. She's very in touch with nature. So you've got like the typeface representing Shakespeare, and then all of these beautiful like flowers and fronds, and there's an owl here, like little animals hidden that are intertwined with the typeface. I think that represents this book beautifully. Now we're going to talk about the movie. I loved it. It took my breath away. I mean, every performance is fantastic, but particularly Jessie Buckley as Agnes. But even all the supporting players are also as good. The little boy who plays Hamnet is fantastic. And I actually really like the casting, because I think he looks a lot like Joe Alwyn, who plays Bartholomew, who is Agnes's brother. I think they look a lot alike. So I like, you know, you can see sort of family similarities there with the casting. I just really liked it. It's so beautifully done. There is a scene in sort of the beginning of the movie where where Shakespeare has followed Agnes into the forest, and he's trying to get to know her, because he's sort of fallen in love with her right away as soon as he saw her. And he says to her that he's not very good with words, meaning like he's not very good talking to people. And she says, "So tell me a story then." And I love that scene. It was just so well done. It's such a nod to what he's capable of when he doesn't have to do it face to face. If he can put it on the page. And there's like lots of little references to his plays throughout. I think the scene after he meets her, it cuts to like him later that night writing in his room, and you can hear him you just hear like the quill scratching on the paper, but you can hear him kind of whispering little bits of Romeo and Juliet as he's writing it. It's really well done. I feel like one of the great things about the movie and how it was done is everybody who made it was on the same page. And I mean that the cinematography was beautiful. The lighting in London is just so dark. Like it really feels, I don't know if it was for real, but it feels like everything in the movie is lighted with natural light. So there's not like a whole lot of like light on people if they're indoors. It's kind of dingy. because why would you waste a candle until it's actually pitch black? So there's a lot of like dark rooms. There's, a scene of him writing and waking up Agnes because he's kind of drunk or whatever. And it looks like it's lit by candlelight. I don't know if it actually was. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that it was. So the cinematography is fantastic. The set design is beautiful. The musical score ties it all together. And I have to say that a lot has sort of been made about the movie using On the Nature of Daylight. I understand why people feel that that particular piece of music has been overused, and so maybe it can take you out of the scene a little bit, but for me it worked beautifully, so it didn't bother me at all. I just think that piece of music fit that scene so incredibly well. I cannot picture it with anything else. It was so good. I cried a number of times during this movie, but the last scene, it had me sobbing so hard. My t-shirt was drenched. And I mean, I wasn't just crying, I was full on sobbing. It was so beautifully acted. I would love to see this movie get more love at Oscar time. I don't know that it will. I think Jessie Buckley is a shoo-in for Best Actress, and she absolutely deserves it. She's one of my favorite actresses working right now. Every time I see her, I really enjoy. She just always brings her A game, and absolutely in this movie she did. It's so good. The final scene of the movie feels like an absolute catharsis for all of the slow and quiet buildup of grief and tension and sadness and everything else that's been coming on, because Hamnet dies quite early in the movie, like not right away. I would say, is it halfway through the movie he dies? And so from that point until the end of the movie, you have this buildup of sadness and grief that's following these characters, and Agnes doesn't know how to get beyond her grief, and Will doesn't know how to express it in any other way than through his art. That is the only thing he can do, is turn to fiction to help him carry the weight of the death of his son. It's so beautiful. I feel like Paul Mescal was snubbed, but I also kind of get why. It's, he's really good at playing guys being sad. It's not the first time he's done it. It probably won't be the last. So, although I think it's unfair, I can kind of see why he wasn't nominated. I think it's not a guarantee it's going to be getting Best Picture. It did win Best Picture at the Golden Globes, and rightfully so. But I also feel like it might not win, because something like One Battle After Another or Sinners, they're more politically popular choices. The movie is emotionally devastating. It is patient. It takes its time to tell the story. It doesn't rush. It's not overly dramatic. It's also not maudlin in its sentimentality. It's a perfect balance of everything that you need to tell the story when the subject itself is how to deal with loss. I loved it so much. It's going to be hard to beat Hamnet for Best Book of the Year and Best Movie I've seen this year. And I realize we're only in February, but it really is that good. So I hope it wins everything it's nominated for. I also don't expect it to go that way, because I do feel like it might be too quiet of a film for some people. It doesn't have a lot of, overwrought emotional big sequences. The death scene of Hamnet is the core of the movie, and the ending is just so beautiful in the way it mirrors that franticness with something so calming. So anyway, I highly, highly, highly recommend both Hamnet, the book, and Hamnet, the movie. So yeah, let me know if you have seen it or read it, what you thought. I don't want to say too much. It's better to see it than say it. So I will just say that when the final scene happens, it is like this catharsis of all the sadness that you have been carrying for half of the movie. It's so beautifully done. I really can't say enough good things about both the book and the movie. They're fantastic. So if you've read the book or if you've seen the movie, let me know down below what you thought. Did you also drench your entire t-shirt in tears like I did? All right, that'll do it for me this week. See you later.